It started with one word, just one, and it changed everything. Banana. My wife, Clara, had just returned from a solo trip to Cancun, a retreat she claimed was meant to recharge her batteries after the demands of her corporate job. We'd always had a strong bond, or so I thought. I trusted her implicitly, but when she started recounting her trip, her tone shifted, her smile turning mischievous as she let slip, "Oh, and I got to taste some really delicious banana down there." The words were strange, laden with a smugness I couldn't quite place. At first I laughed it off. Maybe it was some local delicacy she'd tried, but the way she said it lingered, like an itch at the back of my mind. She seemed too satisfied. That night, while she slept, I sat in the living room with her phone in my hand, staring at the lock screen. I hated myself for even considering what I was about to do. I'd always believed snooping was a betrayal of trust, but something felt wrong, and my gut wouldn't let me ignore it. My hands shook as I guessed her passcode, a combination of her birthday and our wedding anniversary. The first thing I noticed was a hidden folder in her photo gallery. My heart raced as I opened it. Inside were dozens of photos and videos. Clara at the beach, laughing in the arms of a man I'd never seen before. He was shirtless, tan, muscular, everything I wasn't. The captions below some of the photos made my stomach turn. "Best banana I've ever had. Worth every secret. Can't wait to go back for another taste." I nearly threw her. Phone across the room. The betrayal burned through me, turning every fond memory of us into a bitter joke. But it wasn't just the affair that crushed me. It was her glee. She wasn't sorry. She was proud of it. I didn't wake her that night. Instead, I started planning. The first step was finding out who he was. It didn't take long. Clara had foolishly saved his number under a fake name. I reverse-searched the number and found his Instagram profile. His name was Javier. He was a bartender at a popular beach club in Cancun. His profile was full of shirtless photos, flirtatious captions, and hundreds of comments from women drooling over him. Clara had fallen for the cliché, the charming beach Casanova. The rage simmered as I scrolled through his photos. But I wasn't just angry. I was calculating. Clara's upcoming birthday was 2 weeks away. I decided it would be the perfect stage for my revenge. I spent those weeks gathering evidence. I downloaded everything. Photos, messages, even videos Clara had sent him. I hired a private investigator to dig into Javier's life. I learned he had a girlfriend, a woman who lived in Cancun and worked as a teacher. Her name was Sophia, and from her social media she seemed sweet, unsuspecting. I couldn't let her stay in the dark either. When the day arrived, I acted as though everything was fine. Clara's parents and a few of our close friends came over for her birthday dinner. I even bought her a gift, a small silver locket, something she'd always wanted. She beamed as she opened it, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. After dinner, I stood and clinked my glass, signaling a toast. Clara smiled at me, her face glowing with satisfaction. She had no idea the night was about to take a very different turn. She must have thought I was going to shower her with praise. I stood up, forcing a polite smile. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," I began, my voice steady. "It's been a tough year for us all, but tonight is about celebration." I turned to her, my eyes locking on hers. "Clara, my love, you deserve to feel special." She blushed, placing a hand over her heart, and for a fleeting second I felt a pang of guilt. But I pushed it down. This wasn't the time for hesitation. "I got you something extra special this year," I continued. "Something I know you'll never forget." Reaching under the table, I pulled out an envelope and handed it to her. Her smile wavered slightly, curiosity flickering across her face as she opened it. The room fell silent as she pulled out a stack of printed photos and screenshots, cold, undeniable evidence of her affair. Her face went pale. What is this?" she stammered, her voice trembling. "It's your banana, Clara," I said, my voice laced with venom. "Remember the delicious taste you couldn't stop bragging about? Well, now everyone gets to see it." Gasps rippled around the table. Her mother's face twisted in shock. Her father slammed his glass down, demanding an explanation. Clara's eyes darted around the room, frantic and searching for an escape. But I wasn't done. "I'm not the only one you betrayed, Clara," I said coldly. "Javier's girlfriend, Sophia, deserves to know too." I pulled out my phone and played a video, a split-screen Zoom call with Sophia. I laid everything out for her, showing her every piece of evidence. Her face crumpled as the truth sank in. The man she loved was nothing but a lying, cheating coward. Sophia had promised to handle. Javier on her end, armed with every bit of proof I'd sent her. Clara's jaw dropped as the video ended. "You didn't," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Oh, I did," I snapped. "And I didn't stop there." The next phase of my plan required a flight back to Cancun. The day after the disastrous dinner, I booked a ticket and went straight to the beach club where Javier worked. When I walked in, he was behind the bar, laughing and flirting with a group of tourists completely unaware of the storm heading his way. He didn't notice me at first, but when I slammed a folder of printed photos and messages onto the bar, his smile disappeared. "Recognize these?" I asked, my voice loud enough for nearby patrons to hear. His eyes flicked from the folder to my face, panic creeping in. I don't know what you're talking about, man." "Oh, I think you do," I said, stepping closer. "That's my wife you're cozying up to in those pictures. My wife." The crowd around us started whispering, eyes flicking toward the evidence. The manager, alerted by the commotion, hurried over. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, eyeing the scene. "There sure is," I replied. "This guy's been sleeping with married women and bragging about it. I thought you'd want to know what kind of person you have representing your business." I handed the manager a copy of the evidence. His face hardened as he flipped through it. Javier tried to defend himself, stammering and sweating, but the damage was already done. The manager ordered him to leave, saying they'd discuss his future later. But I wasn't finished. Outside the club, I confronted him one-on-one. Weeks of rage and betrayal boiled over, and when he shoved me, I snapped. Every ounce of frustration and humiliation fueled my fists. By the time I was done, he lay on the ground, his perfect face bloodied and bruised. Breathing heavily, I stood over him. "You don't mess with another man's wife," I spat before walking away. Back home, Clara's world fell apart. Her parents disowned her, disgusted by her actions. Friends we'd shared for years sided with me, cutting her out of their lives. She begged for forgiveness, tears streaming down her face, but I was done. I filed for divorce the day I returned from Cancun. As for Sophia, she kicked Javier out of their shared apartment and exposed him to their community. His reputation crumbled, his charm no longer enough to shield him from the fallout. Now, I live alone in a quiet house, free from lies and deceit. It's not always easy, but every day feels a little lighter. Clara and Javier got exactly what they deserved. And me? I got something far more valuable: peace.